Hi, I'm Mandy from Hentra Chiropractic Health and Wellness Center. Welcome to our myofascial release series. If you aren't familiar with myofascial release or self-myofascial release, it's basically self-massage, sometimes referred to as SMR or MFR as well. Because of trauma on your body, how you move, or in many cases how you don't move, you can get adhesions. There are tightness and stuck spots in your tissues, often referred to as knots or trigger points. These can cause pain and they can impede your body from moving correctly. They can restrict movements in your body. And those are the areas that we're going to work on as part of this series. So how does this work? Each Monday, I will teach you how to release a new area of your body. Together, we are going to explore in order to find areas that you need to work on to better create balance in your body. I will teach you ways to remove restrictions so you can move and feel better. We will end each section with movement for the targeted body section. At the end of this entire series, you will have a list of areas to work on. This list will change over time, but I will get into that more later. To help you remember what areas to work on and track your progress, I've included a PDF file for you. Of course, you do not have to use this, but if you did print it, you can note which areas you need to work on and add notes such as particular technique or a tip you might want to remember that you learned in this series. Okay, so equipment. In the least, you will need a tennis or a racquetball. Preferably see if you can find a few various sizes and density of balls around your house. You might have balls that are kid toys or dog toys. You can always get a soccer ball and deflate it a bit. You might even have a medicine ball lying around. I have all kinds of things here, from a big dog toy to a little puppy toy. I have two in a bag. You can take 2 tennis balls and tie them up in a tube sock. Here's a really squishy one that's great for your rib cage. Any of these will work. Nice to have something cylindrical shaped like a PVC pipe or a dowel. I used to just remove a handle from a mop that I had, or a broom. You can do that as well. Another great cylindrical one is a rolling pin from your kitchen. Those can be perfect. Rollers are really handy as well if you have one or you can get one. I have 2 different shapes here, but you can use whatever you have at home. So for every body part you work on, I ask that you listen to your body. I'll give you the tools, but you must use your intuition to figure out what's best for you. Every body is different. You might have an injury or scar tissue or something else going on in your body requiring you to modify or avoid an area. Typically, you want to avoid feelings that are sharp, stabbing, tingling, numbness. If you have any of these, I want you to back off pressure, find a different tool, maybe softer, or just avoid an area entirely. I'm going to help you the best I can, but if you end up wanting more personalized help, please give us a call. We have amazing people here on staff to help you. All right, let's get started. To perform myofascial release on your feet, grab a tennis ball or a racquetball, and then sit on a chair at least to start for me. Take the ball, and I want you to place it on the floor underneath your foot, right about here. So right where the arch of your foot meets the ball of your foot. Keep your heel down, and then squish the ball. So actively press your foot down into the ball, like it's a grape and you're trying to squish it. From there, roll the ball more to the inside of your foot, and roll it to the outside of your foot, back to center. And right now you're just in the exploring phase. You're just checking out what it feels like. And you are trying to find spots that feel sore or tender. If it's uncomfortable, then you probably found a good spot. Now lift your heel up and roll the ball underneath the arch of your foot. Move nice and slow. Again, pressing your foot down into the ball. You don't want to press so hard that it's painful. And by painful, I guess I should explain that. You want it to be uncomfortable, but you don't want to be so painful that you can't stand it. I like to pay attention to my breath. So I want you to take some big inhales and big exhales, especially focusing on the exhale part. Use the exhale to relax, to release any tension. If you can't breathe with control, then you're probably pressing too hard. It's too painful and you want to back off a little bit. So I want you to find a spot. that hurts the most now that you explored. So for me, it's going to be right there, kind of in the middle of my foot on the inside a little bit. And I want you to hang out on that spot. And then practice your big breathing, especially those big exhales. What you're hoping is that that area will relax, that it will release. And by release, I mean just feel a tiny bit better. Once it releases, you can move on, find another area. So for me, here's one closer to my heel. So now this is where I would perform the work. And I would hang out here, I would breathe until it releases, or maybe 20 or 30 seconds. If it hasn't released in 20 or 30 seconds, then I would just move on. And the next time you do it, maybe it'll release. So on your own now, just explore, find your next spot, hang out there. You can also put the balls and your toes down, and you can press into your heel and right in front of your heel. Feel free to move around a tiny bit, exploring each time you find a new area. Find any spots that are tender. And once again, hang out there and do the work. All right, let's move over to the other foot. While you are exploring, rolling around and finding spots that are tender, and then working, hanging out there, breathing, especially the big exhales, trying to get it to release, I want to talk a little bit about options here. If this is too painful for you, another option is a larger ball, such as this one that I've got here. If that's still too painful, you can always put your foot on a roller. On the other hand, if the tool that you are using isn't digging in enough for you, you can use a smaller ball, such as this one. And another option is to stand up. If you stand up, it's definitely going to dig in more. Another option, if you like, if you have two balls of the same size and you've put them in a tube sock, you can stand on both balls. I like to have something to hold on to. I'm going to hold on to the back of my chair. And you can stand on them both at the same time. Same plan though, trying to find an area or areas that feel tender. So there's the spot for me. And then I want to hang out and breathe. They already feel a little bit better, so I would move on and find a different spot. Now that you've performed myofascial release, let's do a little bit of movement for your feet. The first one, seated. Have your feet about hip distance and knee distance apart. I want you to first check your ankles. I want your ankle bones in line with your feet, so pointing straight forward. Hopefully you can see my ankles enough in this video, but if you look at this, my ankle bones here on the right and the left. If my foot was like this, those ankle bones would be pointing towards the center of my feet. However, if I take my ankle and I rotate it, now it's pointing straight towards my little toes and my knee is pointing towards my little toes. So again, if it's in, the ankle bones are pointing in, my knee is pointing in. So you need to rotate your ankle so that both your ankle and your knee are pointing out over your little toes. Do that to both feet. Once you're there, I want you to ground down with your heels and ground down with the balls of your feet. And I want you to lift your little toes. Then put your little toes down and lift your big toes. Put your big toes down, lift your little toes as high as you can. Don't let that ankle roll back in. Keep those little toes lifted, and I just hold it this time. And switch. Big toes come up. And switch. Last time, lifting those little toes, hold it. See if you can lift them a little bit higher. And relax, shake them out. Okay, one more time. Get your ankles and your knees lined up. And this time I just want you to lift your little toes. Now, if you can't do this, which is very, very common, by the way, so don't feel bad. If you can't do this, you can use your hands to help you. Those of you that do have the toes lifted, take breaks and just do it maybe 3 or 4 times. If you can't do it, use your fingers just on one foot to hold down the big toe and then try and lift your little toes. If that doesn't work, use your other hand to lift your little toes and then slowly try to take your fingers away from the little toes and see if they'll stay up. And then try and take your fingers away from your big toe. They'll probably go back down. It might take some time working on this until you get your toes to do what you want them to do. And that's okay. Okay, take a break from that. One more exercise that I want you to do for your feet. I would like you to stand up. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. This time, pick up those little toes again. Those of you that can't do this will need to work on that for a while before you can move on to this one. And now I just want you to lean your body forward a tiny bit, feeling your big toes take on more work. Then you can slowly shift your weight back. Take your weight back forward on your big toes. Take it back. Shake them out if you want. And then one more time. Big toes down, little toes up, lean forward. And take it back. And there you go. That's it for myofascial release of your feet. If you printed the body chart, go ahead and grab it with the writing utensil. I want you to note how uncomfortable this was for each area that we worked on. I recommend using a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the most painful, 3 is in the middle, so I would probably consider that uncomfortable, and 1 feels nice, unnecessary, I think is a good word. For areas you noted a 3, 4, or a 5, I want you to add any notes, such as a particular technique or a tip that you might want to remember when you're working on that area. Now remember, if your body conditions or intuition tells you an area is not right for you, please do not do it. I want you to seek help from a professional instead. So for the next week, I want you to work on all the areas that you noted as a 3 or up, so a 3, a 4, or a 5. There really is no exact plan for how much time you should spend on any one area. Honestly, you gotta work with it for a while, and you gotta find your sweet spot where you're doing it enough that you are making positive change, but not so much that you're wasting your time or bruising yourself. I would say, just to give you an idea, on average 5 times a week is probably good, and maybe 2 to 3 minutes per area, but again, everyone is going to be different. Hopefully you will find, like me, that your pain level adjusts quickly. I might be a 5 in one area, and then a week later I'm a 4, and then a week later I'm a 3. I mean, sometimes our body adjusts really, really quickly, and the pain scale will go down fast. I had a muscle, it was in my back, that would take about 5 minutes of work for me to feel better. But after a few weeks of doing it 1 to 2 times a day, it started releasing in seconds. I started doing it less and less. Again, originally I was doing it daily, but now I only do it when I need it. And hopefully that's what you will find as well, that it will release quicker and you won't need it nearly as often. Other things to note, I want you to drink lots of water and know that you might be sore tomorrow. If so, take a break from that area, and then you can try and do it again the next day if you're not sore anymore. If you need help with the areas, feel free to just watch the videos over and over and do it with me. Otherwise, once you've got it down, just feel free to do it on your own. Either way, be sure to make it quality work. Your muscles are going to release faster if you just relax, focus on what you're doing, and most importantly, remember to breathe, especially those big exhales. With that said, I will see you next week.